Sorry guys, there was a technical issue, due to internet, and the call was disconnected, and the session was disconnected. I'm back again. So we were discussing, the different type of logout tagout shall be applied on different type of isolations. So when we talk about controls, guys, you should ensure management control. You should ensure different type of on-site controls as well. So initially you may go for risk assessment for any confined space entry, and then later on you can opt, actually according to the risk assessment, you may go for other controls as well. So when we start, or we are thinking about entry into a confined space, we should initially decide what is the equipment we have to enter, or we are going to enter into, and then we need to actually first thing first, we should actually see if there is a chances, or there is a chance or opportunity, if we can eliminate the need of entry to confined space. If we can't, then we should go for a risk assessment process, and after completing our risk assessment, we may for actually in that case we may go for isolation first. After isolation, we can actually move forward for cleaning, flushing, purging, blowing, etc., whatever. But before that process, we should make sure gas detection has been done with the portable gas detector using tube, and then if everything is perfect inside and according to the requirement, then in that case we may opt actually for lighting, and in that case after lighting, we can ensure ventilation, we can ensure access egress, and then after that we may go for entry. But before entry, we should make sure we have a confined space entry protocol, procedure, instruction, checklist, and emergency response plan and procedure in place. We should make sure we have actually identified the competent team entering into confined space. We should make sure the emergency response equipment is in place and on site to be used in case of emergency. We should make sure the whole watch or the entrant is available. We should make sure a competent supervisor previously experienced for confined space entry is available. We should make sure we have a checklist entry log is available. There is a question, which permit we have to use for confined space. There is a typical permit in different companies, confined space entry permit. However, in different companies they may use cold work permit or hot work permit along with certificate, confined space certificate and or isolation certificate, depending on the company procedure or protocol. You want to do course OSHA, dear Mr. Imran, we do not offer OSHA, as OSHA outreach program is banned outside USA, and we are not offering OSHA in Pakistan. This is one of the reasons. There is a question from Mr. Hassan Abdal, duties of hole watcher. Guys, duty of hole watcher could be, he is the one who need to make sure inspecting all the electrical equipment being used inside are inspected by electrical. He need to make sure no entry of the equipment that may produce flame or spark, especially when it comes to hazardous zone, not non-hazardous zone. He is the one, he need to make sure writing the material whatever to be taken inside to the confined space, logging them. He is the one who need to make sure checking the cards and competency certificates of the individual who may enter into confined space. He is the person who will communicate with the person who will enter into confined space when they are working into a confined space, and or he will communicate with the emergency team and or emergency commander. He is the one actually who will actually make sure that he is liaising with the emergency team. He is the one who will make sure sitting on the hole or sitting on the entry point, and making sure that if there is any emergency, communicating it with the whole with the person enter into the confined space. And this is what the typical responsibilities should be in that case. Fire watcher, there is a question from Mr. Usman Shah, duties of fire watcher. There is a duty of fire watcher. This session is actually belongs to confined space. However, I would say you may need fire watcher when doing hot work into a confined space. In that case, fire watcher is actually responsible to ensure requirement of permit to work system has been adhered by the individuals working or the team is working. Fire watcher is responsible to ensure fire extinguisher, charge, fire hose connected with fire hydrant and or other fire equipments are available. Fire watcher is responsible to ensure hot work permit is available. Fire watcher is the person who need to ensure no sparks and smoldering embers being spread into the work environment. Fire watcher is responsible to observe the work activity all the time. The fire watcher is responsible to ensure after the completion of activity he is staying for some time, 15 to 30 minutes, to ensure that there is no spark or smoldering ember available that may lead to fire and explosion or may result to fire as well. And this is it should be typical. Major hazard, as we told, lack of oxygen, oxygen, deficiency of oxygen, again unconsciousness, again poor ventilation, again poor access egress, again you would say presence of gases and fire and explosion, and there could be many things as well. So I hope so, guys. This session is helping you. And when we have actually took all the measures, then we can work into a confined space. But we need to make sure regular communication has been done via radio, via verbal communication, via any other communication device, and regular communication with the team working in the confined space. Regular communication team, communication with the emergency team should be done. When we are working into a confined space, if we are working into a hazardous area, regular gas test should be done in that case to ensure there is no presence of hazardous gases that may lead to fire and explosion and or lack of oxygen or deficiency of oxygen and or leading to unconsciousness of individual. If we talk about ratio of oxygen should be in the air minimum 19.5 to maximum 23.5. that should be the ratio. And usually gas detector or portable gas detector is the equipment that gives you indication about it. Factors, guys, again factors, if you need to work into a confined space, you need to consider all the risk and hazard associated with that particular confined space, whether that confined space is a tank having chemical, whether that confined space is a pit. So you need to consider what it is and what could be the associated hazard and risk. So precautions, again guys, precaution should be provision of instructions, provision of procedures, development of safe system of work, application of permit to work, again application of provision of or development and provision of emergency response plan and procedure, provision of training, again provision of supervision, isolation, again flushing, cleaning, blowing, purging, ventilation, lighting, access egress, supervision, gas detection equipment, communication devices, and job rotation on frequent basis. And this should be the control. Again, Mr. Mohammed Kashif, you are welcome. Thank you. There is a question, precaution of excavation, guys. This session belongs to confined space. However, I'm really happy to answer this question as well. Precaution of excavation, guys, depending on the type of soil, A class, B class, C class, and whatever the strength of the soil is, and in that case you may opt for You may opt for shoring, you may opt for sloping, you may opt for benching, and you may opt for stepping, depending on the type, and again detection of gases, again provision of access egress, provision of supervision, inspection of the excavation, so and so. This could be the control in that case. Mr. Osman Shan, you are welcome. I'm really happy to help you guys, and this is what my moral responsibility is as well. And thank you so much. You guys are available with me, and asking questions and refreshing my knowledge and expertise as well. There is a question: if there is any sudden explosion in confined space, so what first thing should we do? Again, guys, if there is any explosion, you should evacuate. If there is any explosion, you should communicate with the emergency response team. If there is any explosion, you should communicate with your emergency response team. If there is any explosion, you should communicate to your emergency response commander. If there is any explosion, you should make sure you are out, and then emergency team is responding to that particular scenario and according to your emergency rescue plan. And this should be. You are welcome, Mr. Loknath, and I'm happy you guys are with me. There is a question from Mr. Kashif. We also demonstrate in PTW. I could not understand what you are asking in this case. What PTW should be for confined space, or what should be written into a confined space permit? Please do elaborate so I can actually answer your question properly. Mr. Osman Shan, you are welcome. Thank you so much for your compliments. So when we talk about confined spaces, I have been involved into activities previously on various facilities and oil and gas projects. In that case, different type of confined spaces I have dealt with, and there was one of the confined space where confined space activity to be done on mighty equipment, on mighty tank, or you can say a box. And in that case, the area was under severe hot weather conditions, and that entry or exit was very difficult in that situation. Facility having brownfield along with the greenfield facility, and then longer hour work was one of the issue as well. So what we did in that case, we rotated our work into evening. We actually developed a safe system of work or procedure for activity. We ensured worker has been trained, all the worker have been trained for a particular confined space. We ensured communication devices such as radios, intrinsically safe radios are available. We ensured ventilation has been done, and continuous ventilation has been done in that case. We ensured gas detection has been done in that case, and we took a control that after every 15 minutes the person working into a confined space should come out and then stay out for 5 to 10 minutes, and then he will go back again, and this was the typical control. There was a question from Mr. Muhammad Farhan Hashmi, if there is an explosion, how you will fight the fire. Mr. Farhan Hashmi, depending on the substance that has actually assisted the explosion. In that case, we should identify all type of substance or material that may result into fire or explosion when we are working into a confined space. Either it is a condensate, either it is a chemical, either it is a gas form of the substance, and again it should be written in the procedure as well. So depending on the type of the substance, you may use different agents, fire extinguishing agents. Either it could be foam or it could be gas. after isolating the energy services as well. So again, is there any rule we allow lone work to work in? No, there is no rule for lone working into a confined space. So nobody is allowed to work alone into a confined space. There should be a buddy system, and there should be a hole watcher. There should be a communication method. There should be supervision on that particular activity along with the emergency protocols as well. Yes, we will actually move to permit to work system as well. Next session we can do a next session on permit to work, and surely we can do it. So guys, I hope this session will help you, and I hope this short and brief session will assist you understanding confined space, hazard, risk and protocols. If there is any question, I can actually answer. Otherwise, I will try my best to answer any question that has been left unanswered into comments section. There is a question from Mr. Maroof sir. What is MOM? MOM is actually minutes of meetings. Whatever the meeting you actually do on health and safety, or either on coordination, in that case the recorded things has been considered as an MOM, minutes of meeting, record evidence. That is what MOM is. I hope guys this session surely help you understanding confined space, what are the associated risk and hazards, and typical control we can actually take in this case. So see you in next live session. Thank you so much guys, and thank you so much for being with me for this session. Stay blessed and stay safe, work safe and be safe always.